Most Americans sound like morons right now because most Americans don't know history, not even their own history. Hey guys, do you know about Liberia? If you're an American, I'm assuming you don't. You should know about Liberia. It's your history. So for those of you who are new, Liberia is a country on the west coast of Africa that was founded in a pretty fucked up way because of America. This is from the Wikipedia. I'm going to read this because this shit's hilarious. Liberia began in the early 19th century as a project of the American Colonial Society, which believed black people would face better chances for freedom and prosperity in Africa than in the United States. Between 1822 and the outbreak of the American Civil War in 1861, more than 15,000 freed and freeborn African Americans, along with 3,198 Afro-Caribbeans, relocated to Liberia. Gradually developing an American Liberian identity, the settlers carried their culture and tradition with them. Liberia declared independence, whatever. Okay, so that's from the Wikipedia. So that's fucking insane. This is what Liberia actually is. So right around the time of the Civil War, in the north, you had a lot of very liberal, wealthy white men who were anti-slavery. They're very anti-slavery. They want to stop slavery. Hey, why do they want to stop slavery? They want to stop slavery because they hate black people so much. They don't want any of them on the North American continent. They hate black people so much, they don't want any of them on the North American continent. Better chances for freedom and prosperity. No, they just didn't want them here. So what did they do? They bought up as many slaves as they could and freed them, and then they put them on boats. And then they sent those boats to just the west coast of Africa, to Liberia, to modern day Liberia. It wasn't called Liberia then because it wasn't a fucking place like that. It has like 20 different ethnic groups, and they just took all the slaves they could get who were like third, fourth, fifth generation slaves. These people were not from Africa. Their ancestors were. They didn't speak any of the local languages. They didn't have any connection to the fucking culture. They've been enslaved for generations. And then they just dropped them off on the coast of Africa. And they just gave them a bunch of guns. They just gave them a bunch of guns, and they're like, hey, you live here now. And these people who have no education, they've been enslaved literally since birth, have just been given a bunch of guns. So what do? They gradually develop an Americano-Liberian identity, and the settlers carried their culture and tradition with them. By bringing their cultures and traditions, they just mean they enslaved the locals with the guns they had. That's what they meant by bringing their cultures and traditions. You had a bunch of rich white guys free a bunch of slaves in the U.S. because they hated black people so much they couldn't stand them on the North American continent, put them on a bunch of boats, send them to Africa, give them a bunch of guns, and have them enslave the local population, resulting in civil war nonstop for like a century and a half, I think. I think the civil wars finally stopped in like 2005. Correct me if I'm wrong, Liberians. And now there's only like 5% of the original settlers, like descendants, left because they just kept doing civil war until there was nothing left to fight about, I guess. America, fuck yeah.